YZ85, big wheel or small wheel? Which one is better for your kid? We're gonna find out today. Mike Ulrich here from Yamaha USA. Mike, this is the first year you guys came up with this bike, stock. It's $200 more on MSRP, and it's bigger wheels, longer swing arm. What else is there different? What is your target audience? Who do you think this bike is good for?
Yeah, so mainly it's for the kids that are a little bit bigger and they'll be transitioning to a 125. So it's a little bit of an easier step from the big wheel to a full-size 125 than from the small wheel one. And, you know, kids grow at different rates. So, you know, my son, he's 14 and he's almost as tall as me. So he still fits into that 85 race class for the kids who race. But obviously he'd be a little bit big for the small wheel version.
What is he riding now?
Right now he's actually just riding a TTR, so he's a beginner rider like you, and we're kind of getting him started slowly. So he rides a TTR, but a 125 large wheel as well. So yeah, kind of comparable to the YZ85.
Yeah, that's what my son feels good on, TTR 125 big wheel. That's what we have now, but we really want to transition, and we are already transitioning into a real dirt bike. That's what we call it, into a two-stroke. So I think for my boy, this would be a better fit because he's already there. He can kickstart, he can touch the ground, and it just feels okay. Although, you know how kids are, they say like, oh, Daddy, can I have the one with the small wheel? But as a parent, we kind of want to push them the other way, right?
Well, also you want something that's going to last them maybe a little bit longer. So if he can already reach and everything, then he'll probably get a little more use out of the large wheel version. And then also, since for bigger kids, the suspension's a little bit stiffer, so I think it'll be able to handle a little bit bigger kid a little easier.
2022 YZ85 small wheel retails for $4,799. The big wheel is just $200 more expensive at $4,999. If you have a small wheel and you want to turn it into a big wheel, you need to buy a set of wheels, you need to buy the swing arm, you need to buy the longer brake line, you need to buy a new chain, and then you probably need to revolve your suspension at the suspension shop. So it will run you somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 to turn small wheel into a big wheel. It's really a good idea to make your decision now, and maybe if you're not racing, would be better to lean toward a big wheel. Both these bikes are at the dealers right now, but there is way more you can buy at your dealership. If you want to know what your dealer has in stock, you can jump on PureMoto.com, check the inventory online, and then just drive to your dealership and pick up whatever you need. Jay, what's the major difference here?
Well, as you know, so guys were racing, the 85 small wheels, the big platform when guys are racing, and the kids are coming up. Super mini size, Yamaha hasn't sold a super mini size, a big wheel size like this. So that's kind of cool. People have had to build their own super minis. So this is an 85 big wheel. It doesn't come with a bigger engine. So if somebody wants to make it into a 100 or a 112, they're gonna have to do their own engine work to get it done. The 85 now, both these bikes have been updated to the new YZ125, YZ250 look with the plastic. This in the rear intake where the air comes into the back here, so it's a little bit. I think, because I don't sit on it too well, but the cockpit feels a lot better, like we felt on the YZ250 and YZ125. So a lot flatter seat, more like the four strokes, feeling comfortable, more the modern bikes.
Okay. So this 85 small wheel, this would be the class that majority of the guys, little guys, are racing. There is not a lot of people. If you race locally, that's what I heard, right, Jay?
Yeah.
If you race locally, it's not a lot of people on the super minis. So that's why this one was very popular bike, and Yamaha was selling just a small wheel bike up till 2022. Now in 2022, they are coming with this big wheel. Now for my son, for Timmy, he's a tall 11 years old. That he can still ride this bike, but I would rather have him on a little bit bigger wheels. He can still touch the ground, he can kickstart on his own, and then he can pretty much manage this bike. I'm not saying he's twisting the throttle the way he should, but he can manage the bike, and then it will be easier step from this one up to 125. What do you think?
Yes, I think so for sure. Because when you're on the bigger wheels, you're in a much more better control as you're learning. And so for him, if he can fit on this, which he does, it's a great fit. Both these bikes, they got the engine's been updated in 2019 to the new power valve engine, a lot of updates, and so the engine's really good for an 85. And so that when I put it around, I was like, I think it's pretty fast, and the kids are all really liking it. So the engine was updated, and now with these chassis and suspension updates for 22, the bike's pretty updated. It'd been the same bike for a long time, so it's nice to see it fully updated.
I think it's not that all or nothing power, like you had a long time ago, right? Like it was like brrr, and then it hits and it pulls like crazy. Now with the power valve, and you can really feel that the bottom of the power is better. So the transition, if you have a kid starting on a 4-stroke and now transitioning to 85 2-stroke, I think that the transition wouldn't be so difficult with this new engine starting from 2019.
Yeah, exactly. So just incredible bikes, and they're good scaled down versions, and with this big wheel, it's going to be great transition to go to a 125, which I think most people should ride a YZ125 if the kid's coming up to ride a 125 first before moving to a 250F, which is a big change.
So Jay, what would you suggest for whom these two bikes? Who would be good for a small wheel, who for a big wheel?
So I think if the kid's big enough, if he's tall enough to ride a big wheel, I would get him on the big wheel as soon as possible.
But if he doesn't race, right?
Yeah, because if you're racing, then it gets that class is very competitive, and they're in very built engines, and it's a tough racing class, and in the super mini class. So if you're gonna be racing and your kid's borderline on height, then you want to stay in the 85 class, regular small wheels, a lot more competition to be able to go racing.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. You saw the pictures through the video. You saw the difference between these two bikes. It's 2 inches in the wheel size, maybe like an inch in a seat height. We have them side to side. Timothy is on one, Sarynn on the other one, and both of them they ride both bikes. So you see it on the video. I think you make your decision. What is your plan? What is your ambition with your kid, with your son or daughter? What do you want to do? You want to race? Maybe stay on the small wheels. You want to have a bike that will help you to transition easier into a big wheel bike, into a regular size bike. Then this probably would be the pick for you. All right, my friends, we are done riding big wheel and a small wheel, 2-inch difference in the front and in the rear on both bikes. Sarynn here, she's a little bit taller than Timmy. Timmy also not too short, and I want to ask them, which one do you like more, small wheel or a big wheel? Sarynn first.
I prefer the big wheel because I'm taller, and I feel like the jumps were easier and I felt less crammed.
Okay, that makes sense. And if you see Sarynn on a bike on a small wheel, it really seems that she does not belong there. She's way bigger than the bike, and she definitely looks way better on the bigger wheels. But did you feel what was the difference that you felt in the small wheel? Did you feel like maybe the wheel was spinning too more, or the suspension was a little bit different? What was the feeling?
I could feel like it more wobbly, like the tires were more wobbly and I had less control.
Right, I saw you you got into deeper stuff and you kind of lost your front end, right? Yeah, so that's what you get with the smaller wheels. If you get into deeper stuff, the stability is not as good as you would have on the bigger wheels. So that's why I think the bigger wheel is better. But let me see what Timmy thinks.
I think the smaller wheels are better for me because it's easier for me to kickstart it. And for me, it just feels faster, and I feel more confident on small wheels. I think the big wheels, they're like giants, but the small wheels, yeah.
Okay, so Timmy here, and I understand it. Timmy here is in the transition where he can still be on a small wheel. He still feels and looks okay on a small wheel, and on a big wheel he's just like coming to the stage where he can ride that bike too. Me as a parent, I want him to actually get on a big wheel because the difference is not as big. And then if I'm buying this bike, buying a small wheel and then outgrowing it in 2 months doesn't make any sense. It's way better to get a big wheel and then get comfortable in 2 months on a big wheel and then stay on it for the next couple of years. So we're not getting small wheel, Timmy.
Man.
Okay, all right, my friends. So there you go. This is the difference between the small wheel and the big wheel. Again, if you are going to race motocross and you are in the 85 class, then you probably go for a small wheels. But if you have like Timmy will not race anytime soon. Sarynn is racing off-road, so there are different classes. So for us, both of us, I think a way better bike is going to be a big wheel. But for your kid, your son or daughter, make your decision and stay safe, and have fun. All right, guys, that's about it for today. And don't forget, whatever you do,
Stay motivated.
see you later. Okay.